use the confidence interval to find the estimated margin of error. So remember, we had that formula that margin of error is u minus L by 2, and that we were using for confidence intervals of proportions. Here they are talking about confidence intervals of means, which is what we'll be talking about in this section. But that formula still applies. So even over here, margin of error is u minus L divided divided by 2. So in this case, it would be 5.4 minus 3.8. And that gives me 0.8. And the sample mean is the point estimate. So if you are using proportions, which we were doing in the previous section, then the point estimate is a sample proportion. And if you are doing confidence intervals for means, then the point estimate is the sample mean. So point estimate is a sample value depending, and it will be sample proportion or it will be sample mean depending upon which of those two are being used. So in this case, it will be the sample mean, which will be the midpoint of the interval. So take the midpoint of this interval, it would be, so let's first write down the formula for it. It'd be L plus U plus L or L plus U divided by 2. And so you add the 2. So this gives me 9.2. And then divide by 2, that gives me 4.6. Okay. Determine the point estimate of the population mean and margin of error for the confidence interval with lower bound 7 and upper bound 27. So the same formula. So the point estimate, is the midpoint. So take the midpoint. So 7 plus 27 is 34. And then divide that by 2. 34 divided by 2 is 17. So midpoint is 17. So that's the point estimate, which in this case is sample mean. So it's either going to be B or D. And then the margin of error is U minus L divided by 2. So 27 minus 7 is 20. And divide that by 2. That's 10. So it's going to be this one. E is for margin of error. X bar is for point estimate or population or sample mean or point estimate. A random sample for the birth weights of 186 babies has a mean of this much and standard deviation this much. Construct a 95% confidence interval estimate of the mean birth. So in the previous section, we were constructing confidence intervals for percentages or proportions. So in that case, you use proportion stats to do that. But when you have to find the confidence interval for means, then you use t-stats. So mean goes hand in hand with t-stats. So in StatCrunch, we will be doing stats, t-stats. And usually it's going to be one sample with summary unless a data is given. Stats, t-stats, one sample with summary. And now you enter the information that's given. So we were given that Sample is 186 babies. The mean is 3103. So let's enter that. The sample size 186, mean 3103. So mean is 3103. Sample size was 186. And then the standard deviation was also given. Sample standard deviation was 690, and you have to make a 95% interval. So 690 and 95% interval. So 3003.186 and 3202.814. 3003.186, so 3003.2. And what was the other one? 3202.8.